Holy Spirit, strengthen your presence in my life in times of struggle. There are seasons when silence becomes louder than any voice. You wake up tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. You try to speak, but the words no longer hold weight. You sit in a quiet room and feel everything but peace. And in that stillness, a single whisper escapes your lips, not rehearsed or theologically polished, just raw and desperate. Holy Spirit, help me. This message was never meant to be just a video. It's a lifeline. It's the voice you've been needing, the one that cuts through the chaos, the weariness, and the confusion. Right now, you don't need more information. You don't need advice. You need presence. You need to feel the arms of God around you again, reminding you that you were never meant to carry all this alone. Maybe lately, your strength has felt like a show you're forced to keep performing. You walk through your day on autopilot, trying to smile, trying to function, while everything inside of you aches for something real. You've encouraged others, you've prayed for people, you've told them to trust God. But in the quiet, when it's just you and your thoughts, you're not even sure if He's still listening. And that honesty doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. It makes you someone the Holy Spirit longs to draw near to. Because that's the truth. He's not waiting for your perfection. He's not standing at a distance, tapping His foot, waiting for you to get it all together. He's not impressed by your masks. He's moved by your heart, especially when that heart is cracked open, bleeding questions you're too afraid to ask out loud. What if I told you He hears you before you speak? What if I told you that every time you've sat in your car, pulled into a parking lot, and just sighed without saying a word, He was there? What if I told you He sees every time you've wiped your tears quickly because someone was coming and He stayed behind when everyone else left? This isn't poetic. This is personal. The Holy Spirit is not a concept. He's not a theory. He is a person, and He is with you. He was with you the night you cried on your bathroom floor and said you couldn't keep going. He was there when you got the message that broke your heart, when your phone lit up with news that made your knees give out. He didn't flinch. He didn't step back. He leaned in. You've been asking why the weight hasn't lifted. You've been wondering why the breakthrough hasn't come, but maybe what's happening isn't punishment or abandonment. Maybe what's happening is the moment your story changes. Maybe this isn't about fixing something. Maybe this is about finding someone, and He's here, right now. You're not hearing these words by accident. This isn't some random video you scrolled past. This is the Father chasing your heart through the whisper of the Holy Spirit, reminding you that He knows you're tired. He knows you're scared, and He's not offended by your questions. He's not ashamed of your weakness. He specializes in weakness. He moves best in the broken. He does His most beautiful work in the middle of the storm. You don't have to wait for the clouds to clear. You don't have to wait until you feel strong again. You can invite Him now. Holy Spirit, strengthen your presence in my life. Not tomorrow. Not when I feel holy. Now. If you feel numb, speak anyway. If you feel like you've lost your voice, breathe. If all you can do is sit in silence, then sit in it with Him. Because He's not here to impress you. He's here to fill you, to steady you, to become the breath in your lungs again. The world may expect you to perform, to smile, to be okay. But God doesn't. He meets you where the tears are real and the pain is too heavy to explain. He finds you at the edge of your strength and brings you back from the brink. And when you think you've got nothing left to offer, He reminds you that it was never about what you could give. It was always about what He came to pour in. So don't rush this. Let the words sink in. Let your heart respond in whatever way it can. Cry, sit in stillness, whisper His name. Do whatever brings your soul back to center, back to the reality that you are not alone in this struggle. You never were. He was with you in the beginning. He's here in the middle, and He will carry you all the way through. You've done your best to hold it together. You've shown up, smiled when you didn't want to, nodded through conversations while your thoughts were somewhere else. You've kept going because there didn't seem to be another option. You've convinced everyone around you that you're fine, but the truth is, something inside you has been slowly fading. It's not just tiredness, it's a deeper kind of weariness. One that doesn't go away with rest, one that no one seems to notice because you've become good at hiding it. Maybe you're listening to this right now, and there's a lump in your throat because someone has finally put words to what you've been feeling, but couldn't explain. You've prayed, you've waited, you've done everything you thought you were supposed to do, and still, there's been silence, not just circumstantial silence, but spiritual silence. The kind where you feel like heaven closed its doors just before you reached out. And in that silence, the questions have grown louder. Have I done something wrong? Did I miss God's voice? Has He given up on me? You've tried to shake the thoughts, to stay positive, to believe. But faith has felt more like a memory than a living force inside you. And deep down, you're scared that maybe you're alone in this. But let me speak to you directly, not just as a voice from a screen, but from one heart to another. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. The ache in your chest is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that your heart still longs for God. And that longing, as painful as it feels, is actually proof that He's still at work in you. You wouldn't be crying out if He weren't already near. There's a unique kind of pain that comes from feeling unseen. When you walk through heartbreak and no one asks how you're really doing, when you show up to serve, to give, to pour into others, and you go home empty wondering if anyone notices that you're slowly unraveling. When you sit in church and hear truth spoken over everyone else, but inside you wonder, does any of this still apply to me? The answer is yes. It still applies to you. Every word, every promise, every whisper of love from the Father's heart, it still belongs to you. Not because you've earned it, but because He never stopped offering it. The enemy would love to convince you that your pain disqualifies you from God's presence. But the truth is, your pain attracts Him. He is drawn to the brokenhearted. He is near to those crushed in spirit. So if you feel like giving up, don't mistake your breaking point for the end. This is not your finish line. It's the place where the Holy Spirit begins to rebuild you, not into the version of yourself you used to be, but into someone deeper, stronger, more anchored in the reality of who He is. The pain you're carrying, it's not ignored, it's seen. Every silent tear, every lonely night, every unspoken cry, it's heard. And not just heard, but held. The Holy Spirit is not observing your pain from a distance. He is in it with you even if you haven't felt Him. He doesn't wait outside the door of your suffering. He steps into it, unafraid of your questions, unshaken by your doubts, undeterred by your weakness. He knows how hard it's been. He knows the nights you couldn't sleep. He knows the words you wanted to pray but couldn't. And still He stays. Still He waits. Still He whispers, I haven't left you. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to keep carrying the weight alone. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to admit that you don't have the answers. What matters is that even in your most fragile moments, He is not disappointed in you. He's not keeping score. He's holding you. And right now, He's calling you not to do more, not to be more, but to be still and let Him meet you where you are. Let this be the moment where you stop performing and start receiving, where you stop striving and start surrendering. Because you're not forgotten, you're not invisible, you are loved, you are pursued, and even in your struggle, you are not alone. Invitation to a holy encounter. This is not just another video to play in the background while you do something else. This is not just another message to file away under the category of spiritual encouragement. This is holy ground. Right now, wherever you are, your room, your car, your living room, has become a sacred place. Not because of the words being spoken, but because of the presence that is moving. The Holy Spirit is here not as an idea, not as a symbol, but as the living presence of God Himself, and He is inviting you into something deeper than anything you've known before. This isn't about more religion. This is about relationship. This isn't about getting everything right. This is about getting real. He's not waiting for a perfect performance. He's waiting for your heart. And if you're willing to open it, even just a little, He will meet you with a presence so tender, so real, so unlike anything the world can offer, that it will mark you forever. Let go of the need to figure it all out. Lay down the pressure to know what comes next. The Spirit of God is not requiring answers from you. He's offering Himself to you right now. In this moment, He doesn't need a crowd to move. He doesn't need a stage, a microphone, or a spotlight. He needs hunger. He needs a heart that says, "I don't want to go one more day without you." You may have felt like you've been drifting. You may have convinced yourself that you're too far gone, too cold, too numb to feel anything again. But the truth is, the Holy Spirit has never stopped chasing you. You didn't lose Him. You've just stopped noticing how close He's been. That distance you feel isn't from Him pulling away. It's from you carrying burdens you were never meant to hold without Him. So here's the invitation. Stop everything else for a moment. Put down the distractions. Let the noise fade. Close your eyes if you want to. Open your heart, because this moment isn't about watching. It's about encountering. It's about the Holy Spirit stepping into your pain, your questions, your exhaustion, and making His presence known in a way you can't ignore. You may not feel worthy, but worthiness was never the requirement. Availability is. He comes where He's invited. He heals where He's welcomed. He speaks where there's stillness. And right now, He's not asking for your strength. He's asking for your surrender. Not because He needs you to impress Him, but because He wants to embrace you. Don't worry if you don't know what to say. Don't stress about saying the right thing. The Spirit understands groans. He hears the cry beneath your silence. He knows how to interpret your pain into prayer. Just breathe. Just whisper His name. Holy Spirit, I'm here. I need you. That's enough. This is your moment of encounter. This is the turning point. Not because you feel something sensational, but because faith is rising, hunger is stirring, and He never denies a heart that longs for Him. He always answers hunger, always responds to the cry of the desperate. You don't have to be loud, you don't have to feel fireworks, you just have to be open. The Spirit knows how to move in the quiet. He knows how to fill the room without a sound. He knows how to wrap you in peace that makes no sense. And He knows how to breathe into places you thought were too dry, too dead, too far gone. So don't hold back. If you've been waiting for a sign to go deeper, this is it. If you've been waiting for a moment to finally be honest with God, this is it. If you've been longing to experience more than just religion, if you've been desperate for real connection, for supernatural comfort, for living power, this is it. The Holy Spirit is here, not far off, not hard to reach. He's here and He's ready, ready to comfort, ready to fill, ready to restore what's been empty, ready to revive what's been dying, ready to wrap you in presence so strong it chases out fear, heaviness, and despair. All He needs is one thing, your yes. So give Him your yes. Not a perfect yes, not a strong yes, just a real one. Who is the Holy Spirit in times of struggle? The Holy Spirit is not a distant force reserved for spiritual highs or religious environments. He is not an accessory to faith, not an optional element for those who feel extra devoted. In times of struggle, the Holy Spirit becomes the very breath that keeps you alive. He is not your escape from pain. He is the presence of God inside the pain. He is not waiting for the fire to die down so He can speak. He speaks from within the fire, and when you're too weak to walk, He carries you through it. You may have been taught that the Holy Spirit is only present when things feel good, when worship is loud, when the room is full, when your faith is high. But the truth is, He's most near when the lights are off, when the tears are quiet, when your faith feels thin and your strength is gone. In those moments, he doesn't condemn your questions or demand your energy. He whispers peace where panic lives. He breathes hope into the hollow parts of your soul. In the struggle, the Holy Spirit is not the cheerleader on the sidelines. He's the advocate, the helper, the one who steps into the pit with you. He doesn't shout commands from above. He kneels beside you and lifts your face. When all the world expects you to keep going, to figure it out, to stay composed, he says, "You don't have to do this alone." He is the Spirit of truth, and in your darkest seasons, he doesn't sugarcoat what you're facing. He doesn't pretend your pain isn't real. He confronts the lies that suffering speaks, lies that say you're forgotten, lies that whisper you're not enough, lies that tell you it's always going to be like this. And with a voice more powerful than despair, he reminds you of what God has spoken over you, promises that still stand even when your circumstances scream the opposite. Struggle has a way of stripping us bare. It reveals our limits. It uncovers our fears. It breaks through the polished exterior we try so hard to maintain. And in that rawness, the Holy Spirit doesn't recoil. He draws closer. He doesn't wait for you to find the right prayer or posture. He meets you in your undone state and calls it holy. He is your comforter, not just in theory, but in tangible, soul-deep reality. He knows how to comfort in ways no human can. He knows how to sit in silence with you and still speak volumes. He knows how to release a word in your spirit that settles storms your mind can't explain. He knows how to show you that even in your lowest moment, you are not abandoned and you are not beyond redemption. The Holy Spirit brings light that doesn't blind you, but warms you. He doesn't push you to perform. He invites you to rest. He doesn't add pressure. He removes it. He is the one person who can walk into your most broken space and call it beautiful, not because of the pain itself, but because he sees what's being born in it. He sees the resilience forming, the faith stretching, the roots going deeper. In the middle of the struggle, the Holy Spirit becomes the difference between surviving and surrendering to despair. He is the stillness when your thoughts are racing. He is the calm in the middle of your chaos. He doesn't always change what you're going through, but he changes you in the process. And that's often the greater miracle. He turns weakness into testimony. He transforms heartbreak into depth. He uses the very things that threaten to destroy you to bring you into intimacy with the Father. And that's who he is, not just the power of God, but the tenderness of God, not just the voice of truth, but the breath of life, not just the gift of heaven, but the companion in the valley. You don't need to find your way out before he moves. You don't need to have the right words before he responds. All you need is the honesty to say, "I can't do this without you," and he will come rushing in. Not to pull you into something you're not ready for, but to sit with you, to carry you, to strengthen you until you're ready to stand again. This is who the Holy Spirit is in times of struggle. Not a silent bystander, not a distant comfort, but your present strength, your closest friend, your divine reminder that you are never alone. Why his presence feels distant in our weakness. There's a moment in every believer's life where faith collides with silence. You do what you know to do. You pray. You seek. You show up. But heaven seems quiet. You lift your voice and it feels like it bounces off the ceiling. You search for answers, but none come. You ask for a sign, and the only thing you receive is stillness. And in that stillness, the question begins to take shape. Where is God in this? It's in these vulnerable places that the enemy loves to speak. He tells you that God has turned away, that the Holy Spirit has withdrawn, that your weakness has disqualified you from his presence. And without even realizing it, you start to agree. You start to believe that maybe the silence means abandonment. Maybe the pain is punishment. Maybe you missed something. Maybe you're too broken to be reached. But the truth is far more beautiful than your fears. The Holy Spirit does not leave you when you're weak. He draws closer. The reason his presence can feel distant isn't because he's gone. It's because your soul is weary. Your mind is clouded by anxiety, fear, confusion, or grief. The fog of human frailty doesn't push him away, but it does make it harder for you to perceive him. He's not absent. He's working in hidden ways, ways that don't always announce themselves with emotion or energy, but ways that go deeper than feeling. When you're in survival mode, it's hard to feel anything. The soul narrows its focus, it guards itself, it tries to make sense of chaos. And in that guarded space, the still, small voice of the Spirit is often drowned out by the noise inside. Not because he's stopped speaking, but because your heart is overwhelmed, and he understands that. He's not frustrated by it, he doesn't retreat, he waits. With more patience than you think you deserve, he waits for your heart to settle enough to hear again. Sometimes his silence is not absence, but intimacy. Sometimes he's not speaking loudly, because he wants you to lean in. He wants you to trust, not just in what you hear, but in who he is. He wants you to discover that his presence is not based on your emotions. It's based on his faithfulness. He's teaching you that even when you feel nothing, he's still everything. Even when the light dims, the flame still burns. The Holy Spirit has not disappeared. He's been holding you when you didn't even know you needed holding. He's been covering you in moments you didn't realize you were exposed. He's been interceding when you had no words left. Romans chapter 8 verse 26 says that the Spirit helps us in our weakness, that he intercedes with groans too deep for words. That's not poetry, that's reality. When you cry without explanation, when you sigh in frustration, when you sit in silence too broken to speak, he interprets those moments as prayers. He carries them to the Father with power and compassion. The reason his presence feels distant is not because he's far, but because you are in a fragile state of becoming. You are being stripped of what's comfortable, what's predictable, what's shallow. And in that stripping, something sacred is taking place. Your dependence on feelings is being replaced with trust. Your reliance on what's visible is being exchanged for faith in what's unseen. You are learning how to find him in the quiet, not just in the crowd. In the stillness, not just in the sound. This season is not wasted. It's not punishment. It's formation. You are being shaped, not for a moment, but for a lifetime of intimacy. The Spirit of God is not in a hurry. He's not impatient with your process. He's gentle with your soul. He knows how to wait for the storm inside to calm, and when it does, you'll hear him again. Not because he returned, but because your heart became quiet enough to recognize that he never left. He has always been near, even in the silence, especially in the silence, the invisible work of the Spirit in the background. There is a kind of work that doesn't show itself in real time. It moves beneath the surface, outside the spotlight, unnoticed by the natural eye. It's the kind of work the Holy Spirit specializes in. While you think nothing is changing, he's rearranging the very foundation of your soul. While you feel like you're standing still, he's strengthening the core of who you are. His work is not always loud, but it's always active. His movements are not always visible, but they are always intentional. You may not feel him, but that doesn't mean he isn't working. The Holy Spirit often begins his most transformative work in the places no one sees. In the layers of your identity, where your past has shaped your view of yourself. In the shadows of disappointment, where trust has been eroded. In the memories you avoid and the fears you pretend don't exist. He goes there without hesitation. He does not flinch at the broken places. He steps into them like a skilled builder who knows exactly what to do. What you interpret as inactivity is often preparation. What you label as silence is often strategy. The Spirit is not passive. He is purposeful. Every delay, every pause, every quiet stretch is part of a divine process. He is softening your heart, exposing lies that have been embedded for years, revealing patterns you never questioned, healing wounds you've forgotten how to name. He's doing heart surgery without needing to explain every incision. And though you may not see the results today, what he's building will last far beyond the temporary relief you think you need. He's the one who strengthens your inner man when your outer life is falling apart. He's the one who teaches you how to hear God's whisper in a world addicted to noise. He's the one who gently but relentlessly untangles the web of shame and regret and replaces it with truth. He doesn't rush the process because he knows what quick fixes never heal. He's after depth, he's after endurance. He's forming you into someone who doesn't just know about God's presence, but who is filled with it, even when no one is watching. Think of a seed planted deep in the ground. It breaks open long before anyone sees a sprout. That hidden moment, the shattering of the seed, is where life begins. It looks like destruction, but it's the start of something new. That's what the Holy Spirit is doing in you, breaking open old patterns, cracking the shell of old beliefs, making room for life to rise. You may be asking for an answer, and he's giving you healing instead. You may be crying out for rescue, and he's anchoring you in endurance. You may want the situation to end, but he's making you someone who can stand inside of it with peace. Because peace is not the absence of struggle. Peace is the presence of the Spirit in the middle of the storm. Don't mistake his quietness for absence. Don't let your impatience rob you of the miracle happening in slow motion. You are being transformed, not in the spotlight, but in the sacred shadows. You are becoming someone who doesn't just survive seasons of struggle. You are becoming someone who shines in them, and that kind of light only comes from fire. The Holy Spirit is the one who takes what was meant to break you and uses it to build you. The conversations you thought were meaningless, the songs that stirred something in you out of nowhere, the moments you remembered things you hadn't thought of in years. None of it was random. It was him, working, revealing, healing, leading you, even when you didn't know you were being led. And if you listen closely, you'll start to recognize his fingerprints, not in the loud, dramatic moments, but in the soft convictions, in the slow return of peace, in the sudden realization that what used to hurt now brings wisdom, that what used to bind you has lost its grip, that somehow, little by little, you are not the same. The invisible work of the Holy Spirit is not less powerful because it's unseen. In fact, it's the most powerful kind, because when it finally reveals itself, it's not surface change. It's a new creation, and that's what he's doing in you right now. The struggle is the soil for intimacy. Struggle often feels like punishment, like you're being singled out or forgotten. But the truth that most don't realize until they look back is that struggle is not the absence of God's presence. It's the very environment in which intimacy with the Holy Spirit takes root. You think the pressure is here to crush you, but heaven sees something different. Heaven sees the soil being broken, the heart being softened, the distractions being stripped away until all that remains is you and him. There are dimensions of his presence that cannot be accessed in comfort. There are depths of his voice that only reveal themselves in silence. There are revelations about who he is that do not come when life is easy, but when everything feels like it's falling apart. In those moments, when nothing else satisfies and no one else truly understands, the Holy Spirit becomes not just a helper, but your lifeline. He becomes your hiding place, not in theory, but in lived reality. Not a concept, not a sermon, but your breath, your center, your only safe place. The valley is not your enemy, it's your encounter. The crushing isn't evidence of abandonment, it's preparation. You asked for more of him, and this is how more begins. The refining fire is never comfortable, but it's where the dross rises to the surface. It's where illusions fall away. It's where your dependence on people, on routine, on predictable outcomes gets severed, and your soul begins to cling to the only one who doesn't shift or shake. This intimacy isn't forced, it's revealed. It emerges when you've run out of everything else, when your prayers are no longer polished, when your strength is no longer a badge, when you stop trying to be okay and simply say, "Here I am, Holy Spirit, just be with me." That moment of surrender, that is where intimacy begins to bloom. Not because you did something impressive, but because you became available. There is a knowing that comes through struggle, the kind of knowing that can't be explained, only experienced. It's the knowing of his presence in the pit. It's the knowing of his peace in the confusion. It's the knowing that no matter what breaks around you, something inside of you remains unshaken. That knowing doesn't come from books or sermons, it's born in battle. And it's what anchors you for the rest of your life. You may look at others and think they walk in power and closeness with God because they're stronger than you. But what you don't see are the nights they cried on their knees, the days they questioned everything, the moments they broke down, only to find that it was in the breaking that they were actually being built. You're not weaker because you're struggling. You're being invited into the same fire where intimacy is forged. The Spirit of God does not waste your pain, He uses it. Every unanswered question becomes a place where trust is formed. Every delay becomes a lesson in dependence. Every heartbreak becomes a doorway into compassion and wisdom you didn't have before. He is not only building faith in you, He is preparing you to carry His presence in a way that impacts others, in a way that leaves a trail of glory wherever you go. Not because of who you are, but because of how deeply you've known Him in the secret place. You're not just surviving a hard season. You are being carved out for a greater measure of intimacy. You are being made into someone who doesn't just know about God, but knows His heart. Someone who can discern His voice in the quiet. Someone who can stand in storms without losing peace. Someone who can comfort others because you've been comforted in the deepest places. The struggle is not the enemy. It's the soil. It's where roots grow deep. It's where the shallow things are removed and the eternal things take shape. You may not feel strong, but what is being built in you will not collapse when the winds blow. Because what's born in the fire can't be destroyed by it. And when this season passes, and it will, you won't come out of it the same. You'll come out with eyes that see differently, with a heart that hears more clearly, with a spirit that doesn't need constant signs to believe. Because you've been with Him, you've suffered with Him, you've trusted Him when there was no reason left but His word. And now you carry something sacred, intimacy that can't be taught, only lived. A whisper to the wounded. You're not forgotten. Some wounds don't bleed. They sit quietly beneath the surface, tucked behind polite smiles and functional days. No one sees them because you've learned how to keep moving. You've learned how to distract yourself. You've learned how to survive with pain buried so deep that even you forget it's there until something triggers it, a memory, a voice, a silence, and suddenly it rises again, reminding you that healing never came, only hiding. You've asked God to fix it. You've asked Him to make it stop hurting, and when He didn't move the way you expected, you assumed it meant He looked away, that somehow your pain wasn't big enough to get His attention, or worse, that it wasn't important enough to matter. But the Holy Spirit does not overlook the wounded. He does not step around your broken places. He enters them, not with condemnation, not with impatience, but with gentleness, with precision, with compassion deeper than anything you've known. He knows the exact moment when the wound happened. He knows who hurt you. He knows the words that pierced your soul. He knows the silence that followed and the isolation that wrapped itself around your heart. And He has never forgotten. He has seen every night you cried yourself to sleep without letting anyone hear. He has heard every prayer you whispered through clenched teeth, every time you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. He has been there, not just watching, weeping with you, sitting in the dark while everyone else went on with their lives, holding space for your pain when no one else had the patience to do so. The world moves on quickly. It expects you to heal on schedule, to bounce back, to be grateful. But the Holy Spirit does not move on from your pain just because time has passed. He stays until the healing is complete. He stays when it's messy. He stays when you try to push him away. He stays when you don't have the energy to pray. He stays when your hope is thin and your faith is worn out. He stays. There are places inside you that you've locked up, not because you want to stay wounded, but because facing it feels impossible. And yet, the Holy Spirit is not asking you to face it alone. He's asking for permission to go with you, to revisit the places you've avoided, not to shame you, not to break you further, but to bring light into the rooms you've kept in darkness for far too long. He's whispering now, not through thunder, not through force, but through tenderness. You're not forgotten, you're not too damaged, you're not too far gone. What you've been through hasn't disqualified you. It's made you a candidate for redemption that reaches deeper than surface restoration. The kind of redemption that heals not only what was done to you, but how you see yourself because of it. He doesn't just want to mend you. He wants to transform you. Not into a version of yourself that never felt pain, but into a version that carries that pain as a testimony, a living witness of what his love can restore. You don't need to pretend anymore. You don't need to minimize the depth of your wounds. He's not uncomfortable with them. He honors them because every scar tells a story, and he's been there for every chapter, even the ones you tried to erase. When others forget, he remembers. When others walk away, he stays close. When others stop asking if you're okay, he keeps watching over your heart with the kind of attention that never grows tired. You are seen. You are known. You are remembered in the deepest way a person can be remembered, by the Spirit of God himself. And his memory is not passive. He remembers so he can heal. He remembers so he can restore. He remembers so he can call forth beauty from ashes and joy from mourning. You are not a lost cause. You are not overlooked. You are not one prayer too late. Right now, he's calling you by name. Not the name others gave you in your failure, not the name you carry in your shame, but the name he's always known. Beloved, redeemed, chosen. He hasn't forgotten who you are. He hasn't forgotten what you carry. And he will not stop pursuing you until every wounded place has been touched by his love. A holy pause. Take a breath. Let the noise stop. Let the striving fall away. Just for a moment, be still. You've heard so many words. You've carried so many emotions. Now it's time to rest in the reality that he is here. Not coming, not arriving soon. Here. The presence of the Holy Spirit is in the very atmosphere around you right now. You don't need to search for him. You don't need to chase him. You don't need to earn this moment. You just need to be. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breathing slow. Let the weight of the day, of the week, of the years begin to lift. Not because your problems are solved, but because your heart is finally making space for peace. He's not in a hurry. He's not waiting to see if you perform the right posture or say the right words. He's waiting for your attention. He's been waiting for this, your stillness, your surrender, your simple yes to his presence. There are moments in life that don't need more talking. They need presence, they need space, they need reverence. This is one of those moments. Don't rush past it. Don't move on too quickly. Let your spirit settle. Let your mind stop running. Let your heart open without fear. This pause is not emptiness, it's fullness. This silence is not absence, it's communion. What you feel right now may be subtle, or it may be overwhelming. Either is holy. There is no right way to experience him. Some hear a whisper, some feel a warmth, some just know deep in their bones that something has shifted, that something sacred has entered the room and refused to leave. The Spirit doesn't always arrive with noise. He often comes like a gentle wind, felt but not forced, real but not loud. This is your invitation to rest, not just physically, but spiritually. Rest in the truth that He is holding everything together. Rest in the assurance that you are not forgotten. Rest in the comfort that your cries have not gone unnoticed. Rest in the reality that you are not alone in this moment, and you never have been. Don't try to manufacture emotion. Don't force yourself to feel something specific. Just be. Let your soul breathe. Let your heart respond. Let the presence of the Holy Spirit minister to the parts of you that words can't reach. This is not a performance. This is an encounter, one that doesn't require anything from you except a willingness to be fully here, fully open, fully His. If you want to, close your eyes. Place your hands over your heart. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, release everything you've been holding. The pain, the confusion, the disappointment, the fear. You don't have to carry it anymore. Lay it at His feet. Let Him exchange your burden for His peace. You were not created to navigate this life without Him. You were not meant to carry the weight of your story in isolation. The Holy Spirit was sent so that every moment of your life, every joy, every heartbreak, every question would be shared. He is the companion of your soul, and in this stillness, He is closer than your next breath. Stay in this moment a little longer. Don't be afraid of the quiet. It's in the quiet that transformation begins. It's in the quiet that clarity comes. It's in the quiet that your identity is reaffirmed. You are a child of God. You are loved. You are held. You are seen. Let the tears come if they need to. Let the stillness remain if it wants to. You don't have to explain this moment. You don't have to justify it. Just receive it. Let Him do what only He can do. Heal, restore, comfort, strengthen. Let this holy pause be a turning point, a sacred marker in your journey where you stopped striving and started dwelling, where you let go and let Him in. This is not the end of your story. This is the middle. This is the breath before the next word, the pause before the next move. And in this pause, He is rewriting what comes next, spoken prayer to awaken the spirit within. Holy Spirit, I come to you, not with eloquence, not with strength, but with honesty. I've run out of words, and maybe that's exactly where you've been waiting for me to arrive. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here because I need you. I'm here because I cannot do this on my own anymore. My heart is tired, my thoughts are loud, and my soul feels dry. But even now, I believe you can meet me in this space. I believe you are not far. You are near. You are listening. I give you access to the parts of me I've hidden, to the memories I've buried, to the pain I've tried to manage without you. I give you the broken pieces, not because I know how to fix them, but because I finally trust that you can. I trust that you will not discard me, that you will not shame me, that you will not walk away when you see the full weight of my struggle. You already see it all, and still you stay. Holy Spirit, breathe again in me. Breathe where disappointment shut the door. Breathe where fear took up residence. Breathe into the rooms I closed off, thinking I was protecting myself, but only ended up isolating myself. Breathe into my identity, into my calling, into the places where I've stopped dreaming, into the wounds I no longer speak of. Breathe into my decisions, into my thoughts, into the relationships I've mismanaged, into the guilt I carry like a badge, into the shame that clings to me like a shadow. I don't want to carry any of it anymore. I want to be free, not just in my words, but in my bones, in my mind, in the very atmosphere of my life. Wake me up, Spirit of God. Wake up the parts of me that have fallen asleep. The sensitivity I used to have to your presence, the hunger I once had to spend time with you, the joy that flowed without effort. Awaken it again. Awaken what time trauma and religion have tried to smother. Bring me back to the wonder of knowing you, the simplicity of trusting you, the sweetness of being with you. Silence the voices that don't belong, the voices that accuse me, the voices that remind me of what I've done instead of who I am, the voices that tell me I'm too far gone. Replace them with your truth that says I am chosen, I am sealed, I am filled, not because I feel it, but because you said it. Spirit of God, hover over the chaos in my soul like you did over the waters in the beginning. Speak order where there's confusion. Speak light where there's darkness. Speak calm where there's chaos. I give you my full attention now, not as a guest, but as the one I've needed all along. Take your rightful place, not just in my heart, but in every room of my life. Lead me, guide me, restore me. I surrender, not to religion, not to emotion, but to you, to the one who knows me, sees me, and still calls me worthy of dwelling within. I don't just want to know about you. I want to know you, not just when life is easy, but in this moment, right here, right now. Fill me until there's no room for fear, until peace becomes my rhythm and truth becomes my anchor. Fill me until I can breathe again without heaviness, until I can walk again without pretending, until I can love again without fear of being broken. Fill me until my identity is no longer based on performance, but on presence. You are not just the God of the mountaintop, you are the God of this valley, and I meet you here without resistance, without conditions, without delay. Whatever you want to do in me, I say yes. Whatever you want to heal, I say yes. Whatever you want to awaken, I say yes. I am yours, Holy Spirit. Not in part, not in moments, fully yours. Healing declarations of presence and strength. Speak these words with your heart, not just your voice. Let them settle deep within your soul. These are not just phrases, they are truth. They are weapons. They are healing to the places that still ache. You may not feel strong, but these words will begin to realign what you believe with what heaven says is true about you. Declare them aloud, not because you feel like it, but because your spirit needs to hear them. I am not alone. Even when I feel forgotten, I am held by the presence of the Holy Spirit. Even when the world is silent, He speaks. Even when the room is empty, He fills it. Even when my thoughts betray me, He steadies me. His nearness is not a reward. It is a promise. I don't chase His presence, I carry it. I'm not too broken to be healed. My wounds are not greater than His power. My history does not disqualify me from His future. What others called damage, He calls destiny. What I called failure, He calls preparation. He is healing parts of me that I thought would never recover. He is breathing into what I buried. He is restoring what I thought I had lost forever. I'm not defined by what happened to me. The betrayal, the silence, the loss, the disappointment, none of it has the final word. My story is not finished. My identity is not formed in pain. It is formed in presence. The Holy Spirit sees all that I've walked through and still declares me whole. He does not reduce me to my weakest moments. He invites me to rise beyond them. I am not weak because I feel pain. My tears do not make me less spiritual. My questions do not disqualify me. My struggle is not proof of defeat. It is proof that I am still standing, still fighting, still believing, and I do not fight alone. The Spirit fights with me, within me, through me. I am stronger than I feel, not because of willpower, but because of who lives inside me. I am being restored from the inside out. Even when nothing around me changes, something within me is shifting. I am not stuck. I am being shaped. I am not lost. I am being led. He is renewing my mind, calming my heart, reviving my joy, and restoring my faith. Little by little, peace is returning. Hope is rising. I am being made whole. I am not a burden to the Spirit of God. He does not grow weary of me. He does not get tired of my tears. He does not tune out my cries. He delights in drawing near. He finds joy in comforting me. He is patient with my healing and present in my journey. I am safe with Him. I am known by Him. I am never too much for Him. I am walking through this, not living in it forever. This struggle will not define the rest of my life. It is not permanent. It is not my identity. It is not my end. I may feel stuck, but the Holy Spirit is already preparing the next step. He is the way through. He is the light ahead. I will not live in this valley forever. I'm coming out stronger, deeper, wiser, and more anchored in Him. I'm loved without conditions, not for what I do, but for who I am. Not because I perform, but because I belong. Even when I don't feel worthy, His love covers me. Even when I don't feel spiritual, His grace surrounds me. His love isn't based on my behavior. It is rooted in His nature, and His nature does not change. I am a carrier of the presence of God. I don't have to chase revival. I am revival. I don't have to wait for someone else to encounter Him for me. He lives in me, walks with me, speaks through me. I am filled. I am empowered. I am sent. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in me, and that Spirit is not silent or small. That Spirit is alive and active. I declare these words not as wishes, but as truth, even when I don't feel them, even when I doubt them, even when everything in me wants to retreat. I declare them because they are the reality heaven sees over me, and I choose to come into agreement with that reality. I am not just surviving, I am being transformed. And the presence of the Holy Spirit is not just near me, it is strengthening me, healing me, filling me. Right now, right here in this very moment, you will rise from this. You may not see the finish line right now. The path ahead may still be hidden in shadows, and your strength may feel like it's barely enough to take another step. But this is not the end. This is not where your story stops. You will rise from this, not by force, not by pretending everything is fine, but by the quiet, persistent work of the Holy Spirit lifting you from within. The same Spirit who hovered over the chaos in the beginning now hovers over your life, ready to call forth something beautiful from what looks broken. You're not going to stay in this place forever. The heaviness will not have the final say. The confusion will not consume you. The despair will not define you. You are being led through, not left behind. Even when you can't see the way out, He is already making a way. He is already clearing the path. He is already turning the very struggle that has wearied you into the soil of your greatest growth. You may feel weak, but you are not defeated. You may feel tired, but you are not disqualified. You may feel behind, but you are not forgotten. Everything you have walked through, every tear you have cried, every night you couldn't sleep, every moment you questioned your purpose, it has not been wasted. The Spirit of God does not allow pain without purpose. What feels like breaking is actually birthing. What feels like the end of you is the beginning of something deeper, stronger, and more alive than you've ever known. This is not the first time the enemy has tried to convince someone it was over. He tried to do it with Joseph in a pit, with Moses in the wilderness, with David in a cave, with Elijah under a tree, with Jesus in a grave. But God has never been limited by circumstances. He has always used what looked like an ending to mark a beginning. And He is doing the same in you. Your valley is not a void. It is the very place He is forming a foundation that can carry the weight of what He's about to do through you. You don't have to climb your way out. You only have to say yes. Yes to His timing. Yes to His healing. Yes to His way of doing things, even when it doesn't make sense. You are not responsible for fixing everything. You are responsible for surrender. And from that place of surrender, strength will rise. There is still more ahead for you. There are promises that haven't been fulfilled yet. There are callings that haven't awakened yet. There are songs you haven't sung, prayers you haven't prayed, lives you haven't touched. There are victories waiting on the other side of this valley, not just for you, but for others who will one day need to know what you know, that even in the deepest struggle, God is faithful. You may not feel like someone who is rising, but look at yourself. You're still here. You haven't quit. You've been through storms that would have broken others, and yet here you are, searching, listening, hoping. That's not weakness. That's evidence of a Spirit-empowered resilience. The Holy Spirit inside you has kept you when you didn't know how to keep yourself. and he's not done yet. So if today you feel like you're barely holding on, let this truth hold you. You will rise from this. Not in your own strength, but in his. Not because life gets easier, but because he makes you stronger. Not because everything around you changes, but because something unshakable is rising inside you. You will rise with clarity, with peace, with a deeper knowledge of his love. You will rise with authority born from experience. You will rise with compassion for others who are walking where you once walked. You will rise not just as a survivor, but as a vessel of his presence, carrying light into the darkness. Let this be the moment you begin to believe again, even just a little. Let hope take root again. Let faith be reborn. Let the spirit within you begin to whisper what your mind has been too weary to hold. You are not done. This is not your defeat. This is your becoming. You will rise, and when you do, the same Spirit who brought you through will shine through you, revealing the beauty that can only come from ashes and the life that can only come from surrender. Don't let this moment fade. What you've just experienced is not a fleeting feeling or a moment meant to be forgotten. This was a divine interruption, a sacred encounter that heaven orchestrated with you in mind. Don't let this moment slip by as if it were just another video, just another emotional surge. This is the kind of moment that marks the beginning of a different path, a deeper walk, a life led by the presence of the Holy Spirit. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were drawn here. The Spirit of God has been pursuing you, not to demand, but to invite. Invite you into a life where peace is not occasional but constant, where intimacy with him is not seasonal but daily, where strength is not borrowed from willpower but drawn from his presence. You were made for this, not for shallow encounters but for sustained communion. But to walk in that kind of relationship, you must respond. The presence you felt doesn't disappear when the screen goes dark. It stays, it waits, it lingers, but it also requires partnership. The Holy Spirit doesn't force transformation. He invites it, he prompts it. And now it's your turn to say yes in a way that goes beyond listening. Speak it out loud if you can. Holy Spirit, strengthen your presence in me. Let that be your declaration, your daily cry, your response to everything he's been stirring in you. Don't keep it inside. Speak it. Post it, write it down. Mark this moment not with passivity but with pursuit. If this spoke to you, if it reached something deep inside that's been waiting for healing, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs what you just received. There is someone in your world who is walking through the same silence, the same pain, the same confusion, and your obedience could be the spark that leads them to their own encounter. Stay connected to the move of God that has just begun in you. Surround yourself with truth. Revisit this message when the days get heavy again. Let it remind you that what happened here was real, that he met you, that he spoke, that he moved. And don't stop here. There is more to uncover, more to be healed, more to be revealed. More of the Holy Spirit to know and experience. Keep seeking, keep listening, keep opening your heart. He is not finished with you. He is just getting started. Right now, just pause. Let the words you've heard sink deeply into your soul. Allow your spirit to be wrapped in a holy stillness, in a sacred space where the Holy Spirit moves quietly yet powerfully. Let the melodies surrounding you become more than just sounds. Let them become prayers without words, cries of the heart lifted directly to the throne of God. This moment is sacred. It is a time set apart from the rush of life, the noise of demands, and the weight of expectations. For a moment, there is no agenda but his presence. For a moment, there is nothing required of you except openness. Let him minister to you now. Let him fill every corner of your soul with the healing balm of his love, his peace, and his power. In this atmosphere, healing can flow freely. Chains you thought could never break suddenly lose their grip. Walls built by fear begin to crumble. Anxiety gives way to peace. doubt is replaced with assurance. And even if you can't yet fully see or understand the work being done in your heart, trust that it's happening. Trust that the Spirit is moving. Don't rush away. Don't hurry through what God is gently doing. Allow the music, the silence, and the gentle whisper of His Spirit to saturate your heart completely. Take this time to rest, to simply breathe. Let your soul catch up with everything He has spoken. You've spent enough time striving. Now it's time for receiving. Just be, just remain. He is with you, always. Not just in powerful moments, not just in clear revelations, but in quiet whispers, gentle touches, and moments of sacred stillness like this. His presence is not fleeting. It is faithful. It remains, even when everything else fades away. Rest in this promise. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Even when the music stops, His presence continues. Stay here as long as you need. He's here too, lingering with you.